Hi class, welcome to lesson 6. I just wanted to congratulate you for writing your This I Believe essay. I will get comments back to you on those essays. The first two writing assignments that we have completed are in a category of writing called narrative writing, more story type writing. This week in lesson 6, we are moving more towards essay or more college or school type writing format, okay? So just keep that in mind as I talk about the assignment, okay? So just as an overview, this is what you can expect. Lesson 6, you will have the first draft of our writing assignment due, and then in lesson 6 we're going to follow the same pattern as the previous weeks of a rough draft due on Wednesday and a final draft due on Saturday. Okay, so let's talk about our writing assignment this week. We are writing something called a critical thinking essay. This essay asks you to take a specific position about a topic. So let's just take, for example, Joseph Smith. What position did Joseph Smith take on religion? Okay, so we know in his younger life he chose not to join a religion. But instead of just sitting there and not doing anything about it, he decided to read and ponder. And the best source he had was the Bible and his parents, and also the other religious leaders around him. So those are the things that he uses. And so we know that he reads James 1:5, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. And that's exactly what he does. He puts that to test by praying, okay? And he gets an answer, and that answer is not to join any churches. And so that is really the process of that you're going to take with this critical thinking essay. Okay, you are, let me move on to the next slide. So in this essay, you are BYU Idaho in this course gives you a list of 6 questions that you get to choose from. You're going to choose one of those 6 questions to write about. So this is just a sample question that I made up. So it is, should LDS members take pain medication? So that is a sample question I have. And so with whatever question you choose, you are going to write a thesis statement. If you remember from our This I Believe essay, you were supposed to use I and be very specific. In this essay, we are not using I. It's more formal business type writing. So let me show you. This is a poor thesis statement. I believe pain medication is bad. So we want to avoid using the pronoun I. And we want to have our thesis reflect the audience that we're trying to convince. So I am trying to convince LDS members, so that's what I start with. That's the audience. So I say LDS members should take pain medication when it improves their quality of life and aligns with the word of wisdom. So that is my thesis, okay? Notice it's a lot more formal than what we've written in the past. Now I want to talk to you about thesis placement. In the previous essay, I showed you those 2 triangles, and I said you could either put it at the end of your essay or at the beginning. Well, in this essay, you must put your thesis in the first paragraph. It's non-negotiable. That is a requirement. If I do not see a thesis in the first paragraph, you automatically lose 10 points. So make sure that thesis is in the first paragraph and it's very clear what you're trying to convince me of, okay? So that's kind of the whole point of this essay, is you're trying to convince the reader to do something. So let's talk about some of the elements you want to include in your essay. So here's my thesis again. These are the questions you want to make sure and answer. What are the assumptions about the topic? So I assume that most people are against, most LDS members are against taking pain medication. What are the arguments? Why are people against it? Why are people for it? And what are the conclusions? So these are the questions you want to consider in your essay. Most likely in your essay, you will have to use support. Support comes in many forms. I'll show you this. Support, you can use scripture, you can use general conference talks, and you can use your own personal experience. So as you can see, we have the bridge, which is the main content, but without these pillars, the bridge will fall down, and that's exactly what support does. It will help boost that thesis statement so it has, so it is valid. So I'm very, when you include support, you cannot have more than one quote per paragraph. That is because a lot of students tend to overquote, and I actually had one student turn in a paper that was only full of quotes, so obviously he didn't write the paper. So that is why I limit quotes, one quote per paragraph, and the quote cannot be longer than 3 lines. So here's some different options. You can use something like this, quote. If you take something directly from a website, you need to put it in quotation marks and put the author's last name. One of the best things I suggest is summarizing it. So for example, I took this quote right here and I put it in simplified words. That is what a summary is. Satan uses false pretenses and takes away our agency. Notice I didn't put quotes around it because it's not exactly his words, but since it did come from him, I summarized it. I put his name at the end. Okay, so keep that in mind if you choose to use content from other sources. And here is another, at the end of your paper, you need to show where the content came from. Use the author's last name and first name and show the website of where it came from, just like this, okay? So this is a general overview of what I need to see if you choose to include quotes. It is not required, but if you do, you must cite them like I've done here. And if you have any questions, post them on the questions board, and I'm excited for this critical thinking essay that you'll be writing. Bye.